facilities. This is suppose we must have a resource mobilization plan. Allocation of budget. It is expected that for this activity, 1% of the total annual budget of the institution should be there. Now, the guideline also says that we should approach different agencies such as DST, DBT, NRDC. So all have their own fund allocated for these activities. So we should approach this and try to raise the fund by approaching to these agencies. Now, it is also expected that we should approach all the private and corporate sectors because they have their own CSR fundings. So we can approach to those sectors and get the CSR funding out of that to promote our innovation and startups. We need to have an active engagement with alumni for promoting innovation and entrepreneurship. So we must have a very strong network with the alumni as well, because they are they could be a kind of a backbone for us. Minimizing hierarchical barriers for expediting decision process and promoting individual autonomy. The point is, many a times the files keep on moving from here to there, and ultimately we are not landing anywhere. So basically, there should be a minimum hierarchical barriers which should be there for the decision making, for the decision process which is to be there, because many times we see that the file keep on moving to different tables, but unfortunately the things are not getting finalized. So the policy should also take care of this kind of process and promoting individual autonomy, because until and unless we don't have a faith in the individual, it will be very difficult to move forward. So all these are based on the NISP guidelines which has been given. Promotion of innovation and entrepreneurial agenda across the institute through conference, workshop, convocations, etc. So we must promote by organizing these conferences. Different events can be organized and it can have a part of innovations and entrepreneurship agendas. We need to have a student and faculty startup policy to be in place. So we are currently, our institute is currently working on to this, and hopefully maybe by the end of this month or maybe by the mid of December, we'll be able to converge this and put it up on our website. Development and implement innovation and entrepreneurship strategy and policy for the institute and integrate across all department, faculties and centers. So basically the idea is all department faculties, they should be made aware of this strategy and policy. Marketing strategies for startups, what way the startup which is there, what way it is going to be marketed, because the ultimate idea is commercialization. Ultimate idea is to get some finance out of these startups. So that is what is required. The strategies has to be in place. The HEIs should be the driving force in developing entrepreneurship culture in the vicinity. That is the local development. What does it mean is basically we have maybe around the institute we have so many problems which is there, right? So what way how we can support to do the development for that community, maybe in regional or social or that community. We have so many problems which is in our vicinity. No, there are so many, like NSS has taken so many villages, they do something for their development, they do something for literacy. So that way there can be so many entrepreneurship things over there. Strategic international partnership should be developed using bilateral and multilateral channels with international innovation cluster and other relevant organizations such as exchange programs, internship, engaging international faculties for teaching. This is again one of the things which needs to be, it has to be broadened basically, because we still have we have some student exchange program which is in place as of now, but it has to be it has to grow up. Okay, so again this exchange program should be more and more. We should actually attract internships, because internships that's basically a kind of a branding stuff. So again this also has to be there so that things are in place. The second one is startups enabling institutional infrastructure. So we must have a creation of pre-incubation and incubation facilities for startup. So like pre-incubation, you can see in third point, we can have our IIC, we can have EDC, IEDC, new generation innovation. Basically, EDC is the Entrepreneurship Development Cell, IEDC is the Innovative Entrepreneurship Development Cell, and then the new generation which is coming up with the latest technologies. We can have the Innovation Cell, we can have the Startup Cell, we can have the Student Clubs, which is already there. We have a large number of student clubs, and they're performing very nicely. They are doing a lot of jobs, but again, this has to come on the same platform, because everybody is doing, all the clubs are doing something here and there, but that has to be club, so that we should be able to bring that kind of culture over here. So ultimately, the idea is that the innovation should be converted to enterprises, and that again, we should get into some kind of financial success over there. The pre-incubation, incubation facilities available should be made available 24/7 to the students, faculty, and staffs. So this is one thing which is required. Establishment of a registered society, that is the incubation cum technology commercialization unit, that is again required, which should be a registered society. Nurturing innovation and startup. So we should establish a process and mechanism for easy creation and nurturing of startups enterprises by students. So any of the students, either he is from UG or PG or PhD, or maybe staff, including temporary and project staff, faculty, alumni, or even from outside the institution, who are the potential companies, right? So they can we need to promote that, right? So step could be one of the focal point for these things. Now, students under incubation but are pursuing entrepreneurial ventures can use institutional address to register their company with due permission from the institute. So any student can utilize the institutional address, but they have to take the permission from the authorities. Flexibility in examinations and academic related activities for student entrepreneurs. Basically, if you go through the clause of this NISP, you'll come to know that they have relaxed the examination process. Then again, if you need to have some kind of semester breaks, so that can be provided as per the guidelines. So again, we have to put all these things through policies, through our own policies. Exploring possibility of accommodation in the institute for student entrepreneurs. Allow faculty and staff to take off for a semester or a year break, maybe in terms of sabbatical or unpaid or a casual, whatever is there, for working on startups and come back. So maybe if you want to have more break, then there should be a review committee of the institute to take the decision on this. Now, this was actually emphasized, the last point: start a part-time, full-time MS, MBA, PGDM program on innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture development, right? Where one can get a degree while incubating and nurturing a startup company. So there is some AICT guidelines which have been issued in this regard as well. So we must have this kind of management program related to innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture development. Policies on equity stake in a startup company, how much should be from minimum to maximum, what equity sharing should be there. It is as per the policy, it should be between 2% to 9.5%. Institute can extend the startup facility to alumni as well as potential outsiders. So even to alumni, the startup facility can be provided, or even to the outsider. Now, this is one point which is important. Every faculty must be encouraged to mentor at least one startup. This is the requirement which has been given by the NISP. The product development, commercialization, nurturing startups to be added to the bucket of faculty duties for performance evaluation. So again, this has to be, some review has to be done, and this product development, commercialization, or whether they are doing their own startups, or even they are doing their own startups, that should be into the bucket. So maybe for the performance evaluation or whatever criteria we set for CAS and all, this can be taken up. Update, modify, revise performance evaluation policies for faculty and staff. So that was based on the NISP guidelines. The fourth one is the product ownership rights for technologies developed at the institute. So we need to update the IPR policies related to startup and entrepreneurship. Right now we have a IPR policy in place, but Based on this startup and entrepreneurship, this again has to be updated. Dr. Ritesh may be able to give more details on this. Uh, Legal issues, that also needs to be, some committee has to be there, and we should take care of all the disputes which should be related to the startup and entrepreneurship. All institutes decision-making body with respect to incubation, IPR, technology licensing will consist of faculty and experts who have excelled in technology translation. Other faculty in department will have no say, including heads of department, heads of institute, deans or registrar. So this is what I have just copied it from the NISP guideline. So basically, the decision-making body should be totally in hand of the person who have actually excelled in this kind of technology translations. Interdisciplinary research and publication on startup and entrepreneurship should be promoted by the students, by the institution. Sorry. The fifth one is the organizational capacity, human resource, and incentives. So the institute has to look into the recruitment of staff that have a strong innovation and entrepreneurial and industrial experience, behavior, and attitude. This will help in fostering the innovation and entrepreneurship culture. So again, now the recruitment has to be possibly the rules has to be modified based on this. So one column has to be added for this innovation and entrepreneurial experience. Cross-faculty teaching and multidisciplinary research. So this is again which has been emphasized in our institute since a long time. And yes, there are several faculties who are actually into this. Guest lectures or alumni can be engaged for strategic advice and bringing in skills which are not available internally. Faculty and staff should be encouraged to do courses on innovation, entrepreneurship management, and venture development. Right. So we had been actually doing all this, but yes, it has to be in proper place, and if required, it can be arranged within the institute itself. In order to attract and retain right people, institute should develop academic and non-academic incentives and reward mechanism for all staff and stakeholders that actively contribute and support entrepreneurship agenda and activities. So yes, if we are supporting, so there should be some incentive and reward mechanism which is to be developed. The sixth point is creating innovation pipeline and pathways for entrepreneurs at the institute level. So exposure of students to innovation so as to support the pathways from ideation to innovation to market. The point is, if you have any idea, that has to be transformed to innovation, and again it has to go to market for your financial success. Right. So what is to be done is spreading awareness amongst the student, faculty, and staff about the value of entrepreneurship. So these are the things which maybe from IIC or maybe from ADC, we can have more and more events with respect to this. Student staff should be taught that innovation, that is the technology, process, or business innovation, is a mechanism to solve the problem of society and consumer. Yes, innovation is basically whatever we saw in the presentation of Dr. Vipin. You saw that maybe kind of the what this Padman was there, or even there are a number of innovations which are taking place. In one of the event which was organized by, I think it was EPAC Club of our institute. So one of the girls, she actually showed me a very typical innovative idea of filtering water. She utilized a pack of hairs just to filter the water, and that that pack of hair actually filtered the water up to 98%. So it was a fantastic idea. She also won a CSIR award for that. So we know the problem of our society and consumers. So that way we have to come up with different innovative solutions. Develop entrepreneurial mindset through experiential learning by exposing them to training in cognitive skills, that is your design thinking, critical thinking. To prepare the students for creating the startup through education, integration of education activities with enterprise related activities should be done. The institute should link their startups and companies with wider entrepreneurial ecosystem, and by providing support to students who show potential in pre-startup phase. So we must have a linkage with the other industries who are actually good entrepreneurs, and they can also provide support to our students. So that is what is required even before the startup phase. That is what they write it as, pre-startup phase. The institute should establish institution innovation council as per the guidelines of MHRD Innovation Cell and allocate appropriate budget for its activities. So we do have a institute innovation council in place in our institute. For strengthening the innovation funnel of the institute, access to financing must be opened for potential entrepreneurs. So this is something related to, this has to be converged by the committee members. The institute must develop a ready reckoner of innovation toolkit, which must be kept on the homepage on the institute's website to answer doubts, queries of the innovators and listing the facilities available at the institute. So we must develop either a toolkit, or maybe a toolkit can have the forms available over there. Maybe some kind of online forms could be made available. We can have the different FAQs over there in the institutional website, so that can be in place. The norms for faculty startup. So we are actually working on this faculty startup policies, as I've already told you. So it should only, those technologies should be taken for faculty startups which originate from within the same institute. In case the faculty staff holds the executive or managerial position for more than 3 months in a startup, they will go on a sabbatical leave without pay or utilize the existing leave. Faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at the institute from the work conducted at the startup and company. So there should be a clear distinction between what is the ongoing research and your startup company. Faculty must not accept gifts from the startup. Okay, faculty must not involve research staff or other staff of the institute in activities at startup and vice versa. So if we are working on our own startup, we should not ask the research scholars or maybe the other staff members to come into this. Human subject related research in startup should get clearance from ethics committee of the institution. So we need to find out whether the ethics committee is in place.
Hello. Hello.
Pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development.
Priyank sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Last slide.
This one?
Yes, sir. There is a line: faculty must clearly separate and distinguish ongoing research at the institute from the work conducted at the startup and company.
Yeah.
These are the guidelines being framed at BIT, or is a common guideline given by AICT?
So it's a common guideline which has been given by AICT. So I have just taken up the highlights. So then we have to do our brainstorming session and finalize with all this. So right now we are working on the startup policy for faculty and students, as well as the innovation and entrepreneurship policies. We are working on that.
Actually, what happens that most of the places, the innovation done at lab is started as a new company. Only thing is that there is a profit sharing between the institute and the company.
Correct.
So
Correct.
that basically disagrees with this guideline. So I don't know how we are going to take up at our institute. So that's why I wanted to.
Let's see, because the committee will decide actually what way it has to be taken up. But I have just taken the highlights from your NISP guidelines.
Fine, sir.
So
we'll wait for the institute framework.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the next point is pedagogy and learning interventions for entrepreneurship development. So the student clubs, bodies, departments must be created for organizing competitions, boot camps, workshop, awards. So these activities has to be in place. It is required that innovation and entrepreneurship award should be there, so that whoever, the motivation should be there in terms of award. For creating awareness among the students, the teaching method should include case studies on business failure, real life experience reports by startups. So I'll suggest those who want, they can read the book of Innovation Lab Excellence by Richard Turin. It's a fantastic book which is basically on the real life experience of different failures. So those interested, they can read that book. Tolerating and encouraging failures, which is actually required. Failures can be there, right? And it is sure that failures are going to be there. So again, it has to be tolerated, and again, you should get the encouragement from the failures, right? So that to come up with a successful entrepreneurs. Innovation champions should be nominated from within the student faculty for each department or stream of study. Entrepreneurship education should be imparted to students at curricular, co-curricular or extracurricular level through elective short-term, long-term courses, innovation, entrepreneurship and venture development. So maybe we can have a non-credit course of 30 hours or so, which is also a requirement of NAC. So we can have this kind of curriculum for us, maybe either at a curriculum level or an extracurricular level. Pedagogical changes needs to be done to ensure that maximum number of student projects and innovation are based around real life challenges. Yes, it is actually required these days because the real life challenges are becoming more and more crucial. We have seen this in the pandemic phase. The other point is collaboration, co-creation, business relationship, and knowledge exchange. So institute should find potential partners, resource organization, micro, small and medium sized enterprises, social enterprises, schools, alumni, professional bodies and entrepreneurs to support entrepreneurship and co-design the programs. Development of policy and guidelines for forming and managing the relationship with external stakeholders, including private industries. So again, these policies and guidelines have to be framed that whether how we can collaborate or with the private industries. Knowledge exchange through collaboration and partnership should be made a part of institutional policy, and institutes must provide support mechanism and guidance for creating, managing and coordinating these relationships. Through a formal and informal mechanisms such as internship, teaching and research exchange programs, clubs, social gathering, etc., faculty, staff and students at the institute should be given opportunities to connect with the external environment. Anyways, we had been doing these things. Most of the things we had been doing, but again, they have to come at the proper place. And the last one, possibly the 10th point, sorry, there are a few more things left. Single point of contact mechanism should be created at the institute for student faculty collaborators. So we must have a single point of contact mechanism. Mechanism should be devised by the institution to ensure maximum exploitation of entrepreneurial opportunities with industry and commercial collaborators. Development of innovation knowledge platform using in-house information and communication technology capabilities. Maybe an example is a learning management system, which I can think of as of now. The last point is entrepreneurial impact assessment. Basically, it is actually a feedback. So if you are doing this kind of investment, or if you are doing this kind of facilitation, so what we get in return, or whether we are getting into a success or a failure, these has to be assessed. So we must get an impact assessment of the institute's entrepreneurial initiatives such as pre-incubation, incubation, entrepreneurship, education. So that impact assessment has to be done. So we need to keep a proper maybe feedback form for these things. Monitoring and evaluation of knowledge exchange initiative, engagement of all departments and faculty in entrepreneurial teaching and learning should be assessed. Number of startups created, support system provided at the institute level, and satisfaction of the participants. New business relationship created by the institutes should be recorded and used for impact assessments. So basically, it's something like a close the loop. This is what we are trying to do. Impact should also be measured for the support system provided by the institute. So that impact assessment has to be there, that what kind of support system we are providing from our institute towards the startup or entrepreneurship. Formulation of strategy and impact assessment should go hand in hand. The time we are formulating the strategies, at the same time we should also think of that what way the impact assessment is going to be there. Impact assessment for measuring the success should be in terms of sustainable social, financial and technological impact in the market. It is actually, see, the ultimate goal is to come up into a financial success part. So that financial success should also be taken as a part of the impact assessment. So with this line from Richard Turin, I'd like to tell you that innovation is not about technology, but instead relation of people to the technology. So with this, I thank you for a patient listening. And if you have any queries, you can ask me or you can mail me. Thank you so much. So I hope there are no queries. So thank you very much. Whenever, if you have any queries, you can always send me a mail, or you can give me a call. We can discuss on this. Or maybe Dr. Ritesh Singh is also there, is a convener of IIC. So you can talk to Dr. Ritesh. In fact, Professor Kumar is the president of IIC. So if anything is there, we can always discuss in the meeting. So thank you very much. We'll end the session over here.